Using data while selecting accounts is one of the most critical element in ABM. Hi guys, this is Sampath from Intandemly. So just to get started, even if you're using the manual route or the predictive route, data plays a very critical role. So where do you exactly get started? So to start with, I'll give you my 4 data inputs that you need to be aware of while you're selecting your accounts. So those 4 would be classified as firmographic, technographic, intent, and then the engagement. So let's actually just get started and delve a little more in depth about firmographic data. Firmographics. So it possibly, I think you would have already defined the firmographic data of the companies that you're actually targeting, but it's also it's very critical that you kind of make it very explicit and be very clear about this particular data. So the dimensions that firmographic data kind of includes are the company size, locations, employee size, turnover, or industry that they are focusing in, and the sources that you can actually rely upon to get this data would be annual reports, LinkedIn. You could use Intandemly too, and their third-party companies like Brad and Dunstreet and Reachforce that you can make good use of. So, but as I said earlier, this forms the foundation for your accounts. So you need to have your firmographics data fully and perfectly defined. Next would be technographics. It could also be a reason, like, I can give you an example. There are accounts and there are companies which only define their targeted accounts with the technographics data. Yeah. So for example, what technologies are they currently in? Like, are they using something like Marketo, SAP, Salesforce, etc.? So the dimensions that you would have to consider in such a scenario is, would my solution really complement with their existing tech force, or would they kick my tech stack out because they already have the solution in place? And the sources that you could look into in such a scenario would be job portals, forums, and social media. And you could also look into the competitive intelligence firm called as HD Data, which gives you good analysis. And then I think I would move on to some of my favorite tools, which is Built which is actually free to start with. And if you want to pay and get a little more data, Datanize is also a pretty good option. That gets me to the third classification, which is the intent data. So for those of you who do not understand what intent data is, see, intent data is nothing but behavioral data that suggests and gives you an insight of what the company is looking for. For example, if there is a particular account and the contacts within that particular account are constantly searching for a phone system, VoIP solutions, and they're reading a ton of content around the same topic, that is a clear indication that they're really ready to buy such kind of solutions. So intent data can actually look, intent data can include topics that they're searching for, the content that they're downloading, or what kind of third-party sites they're kind of referring to. And the sources for understanding intent data could again be job portals and forums, which are free and favorite tools of mine. And then you can, if you're willing to kind of pay, you can make use of intent data providers like Bambora, MRP, Big Willow, if I'm not wrong, could also be a reason. But here's a small tip. All the IT vendors would be targeting those 5,000 dream accounts. Okay. Now, in such situations, intent data actually plays a very, very big role. So it's definitely a very important data input. That brings me to the last data input, that's engagement data. So as the as it's in the name, I think, while you're choosing accounts, it's critical to know how much are you already invested into these particular accounts. So the dimensions that you would have to consider over here is, what is the previous sales activity? What has been the rep activity? What kind of content downloads did this particular account have? Fourth would be, what was the executive interaction, and is there any kind of mapping that we could do within this particular account? These could be the dimensions. And this, for the sources, it's very straightforward and simple. You could look into your CRM. You could use our tool in tandemly. You could use Engagio. There's marketing automation tools that you could look after. LinkedIn can be a possible way. But I think first and foremost, looking into the engaged accounts while you're forming your entire list is very, very important. Guys, hope this has been quite useful to you. I'll be back with more videos. See you. Bye bye.